The alien fleet filled half the night sky. From Earth's orbit, their ships looked like black suns blotting out the stars. Massive vessels of the Galactic Council, each one capable of burning continents, had come to deliver judgment. Humanity stood at the edge of annihilation once again. The voice of their commander echoed through every human communication channel. "Do not fire until they do. Hold position." The order came from a single man aboard the orbital command station, Admiral Kieran Holt. He watched the alien armada with eyes that hid neither fear nor awe. The Council wanted Earth's surrender, and this time they came in person to make it happen. Across the solar system, human fleets waited in silence. Thousands of ships drifted in formation, their dark hulls nearly invisible against the void. Hidden platforms around Mars and the Moon charged quietly, feeding energy into their defensive grids. The aliens expected panic, but Earth was silent. Every sensor from the Council ships reported an eerie calm. No weapon locks, no communication, no movement. To the aliens, it was unsettling. To Admiral Holt, it was deliberate. A transmission cut through the void. The Galactic Council's lead vessel broadcasted in all frequencies, its voice amplified in dozens of alien tongues before finally translating into human speech. "Humanity of Sol, you stand accused of crimes against the galaxy. You defied the Council's order. You destroyed fleets that carried our law. You destabilized the balance of peace. We now demand unconditional surrender." Holt didn't reply immediately. He let the silence stretch, allowing every commander across the human network to feel the weight of it. The aliens saw that silence as weakness. It was not. It was strategy. When Holt finally answered, his voice was calm, almost soft. "We remember the last time the Council demanded our surrender. Millions died, yes, but we also remember who fired first." The alien commander appeared as a shimmering hologram on the bridge. Its face was scaled, its voice deep, its tone dripping with superiority. "Your defiance nearly brought extinction to your kind. Do you wish to repeat that lesson?" Holt studied the creature carefully, his hand clasped behind his back. "You think extinction frightens us?" he said. "You misunderstand humanity." From the Council's vantage point, the human ship seemed primitive. Older designs, smaller engines, less armor. But deep within those ships were technologies no alien had ever faced. Adaptive AI networks, swarm drones, gravitational traps, and stealth fields that could render entire fleets invisible. They had learned, adapted, and rebuilt after the last war. Humanity didn't just survive the galaxy's might. It grew sharper from it. "Your resistance is futile," the alien continued. "Your system is surrounded. Even now, our fleets stand ready to erase your world." Holt leaned forward slightly. "Erase it, then. But before you do, check your rear sensors." The alien commander frowned, then issued a quick order. Holographic symbols danced across its bridge. A moment later, the color drained from its face. Behind the Council armada, dozens of massive human dreadnoughts decloaked, silent, waiting, weapons charged. They had been there the entire time, hiding behind Jupiter's magnetic field. "Impossible!" the alien hissed. "You could not have built that many ships without our sensors detecting it." Holt gave a faint smile. "You assumed we were rebuilding." "We were evolving!" Panic spread through the alien fleet. The Council's escorts scrambled to form new defensive lines, but their movements were clumsy. Human ships didn't attack. They only shifted position, slowly, deliberately, until the entire alien formation found itself surrounded. Still, no shot was fired. In the Council chamber, orbiting above the gas giant Sorith Prime, the members of the Galactic Council watched the live broadcast in shock. Representatives from 100 worlds argued, shouted, and accused each other of underestimating humanity again. The Archon of the Council, Varel, silenced them with a gesture. "Enough! Bring the human before us. I will hear their words myself." Moments later, the trial transmission connected. In the center of the Council's circular hall, projected before billions across the galaxy, stood the image of Ambassador Lyra Morgan, the human diplomat sent to answer for Earth's actions. She stood alone before towering alien figures, each one looking down at her as though she were an insect. The air shimmered with tension. Varel's voice boomed. You dare threaten the Council with warships while under judgment? Lyra met his glare calmly. We do not threaten. We remind, the Council erupted in outrage. Remind us of what? One alien barked. That we only fight when we are given no choice, she replied. The last time you came, you burned our cities and called it peacekeeping. You enslaved our colonies and called it order. And when we fought back, you called it barbarism. Varel slammed his clawed hand against the dais. You murdered billions of our soldiers. Lyra didn't flinch. They came armed. They came to conquer. We defended ourselves. That's not murder. That's survival. Every word echoed through the chamber, transmitted to every planet under Council rule. Billions of alien citizens watched in silence as a single human faced the rulers of the galaxy without fear. One of the elder Council members leaned forward. And what is your purpose now, human? Do you seek another war? Do you think your species can win again? Lyra's eyes hardened. We don't seek war. We seek to live without your chains. But if you come again, you will not find us as you left us. Humanity does not fight the same war twice. Outside the Council's chambers, tension grew across the stars. Alien generals debated launching an immediate strike before humanity could grow stronger. Others warned against it, recalling the old war and how it ended, with entire fleets gone, entire worlds burned, and humans walking away without claiming territory. Back near Earth, Admiral Holt continued to monitor the alien movements. His communication officer reported faint energy spikes, Council ships charging weapons. Holt remained calm. Hold steady, he said. They'll test us. Let them! The aliens fired first. A single energy beam lanced across the void toward a human destroyer. It struck and vanished. The beam disintegrated mid-flight, collapsing into a web of static. The destroyer remained unharmed. The alien commander barked orders, firing again. The same result. The weapon energy simply vanished. Holt turned to his officers. Activate the reflection grid. Across the human fleet, invisible fields rippled outward. The next alien volley rebounded, each shot turning back toward its source. The alien flagship's shields flared, then shattered. The explosion rippled through their formation, scattering them like dust. Targeting arrays locked, said a human officer. Stand down, Holt ordered. We've made our point. On the Council's homeworld, chaos broke out. The Archon's advisors screamed for retaliation, but others pleaded for restraint. The aliens had underestimated humanity once before, and their fear returned like a ghost. Lyra's voice came through one final time, her tone calm and cold. This is your warning. You fought the humanity once. Never twice. Silence filled the chamber. Every delegate, every general, every admiral remembered the last war, the impossible odds, the human cunning, the relentless spirit that refused to break. Outside, in the void, human ships slowly turned away, disappearing into the black. The alien fleet did not follow. They had seen enough. Back on Earth, the people watched the news in silence. They didn't cheer. They didn't celebrate. They only remembered the price they once paid. Humanity's strength was not in domination, but in its refusal to bow, no matter who stood against them. And far across the galaxy, the Archon's final words to his council echoed like prophecy. We fought them once, he said quietly, and barely survived. If they ever rise again, may the stars have mercy on us all. The stars above Vega burned red with battle fire. Human ships moved through the void in complete silence, their formation steady and patient. Across from them, the combined fleets of 5 alien species drifted into position, their massive warships glowing with weapon charge. The aliens thought they had trapped the humans. They believed the system was cut off, that escape was impossible. They were wrong. On board the human flagship. Resolute, Commander Dane Keller stood before the main screen, studying the enemy. The alien fleet stretched from one horizon to another, thousands of vessels, each bristling with power. Their energy readings flooded every scanner. But Keller wasn't looking for power. He was looking for mistakes. They're spreading too wide, he murmured. They're afraid of our flanks. His tactical officer frowned. Sir, there's still enough firepower out there to vaporize half the fleet. Keller nodded. Then it's a good thing we don't plan to fight fair. The alien commander broadcasted a message, its voice booming across every frequency. Human fleet, surrender immediately. You are outnumbered, outgunned, and outmatched. There will be no mercy this time. Keller allowed the message to play through the bridge. Then, when it ended, he simply said, "Transmit our response." The comms officer hesitated. "Sir, what do we say?" Keller looked straight into the forward screen. "Tell them we don't believe in mercy either." A hush fell over the crew as the words went out. Across the system, alien ships activated their primary weapons. Pulses of energy gathered, building to critical levels. Then, as the first volley of plasma fire tore through the void, the human ships vanished. The entire fleet simply disappeared from sensors. Confusion rippled through the alien ranks. Their shots hit nothing but empty space. Scans showed no debris, no warp signatures, no traces of hyperspace travel. The human fleet was gone, erased. The alien commander shouted for new scans, for recalibration, for explanations. Then one of his lieutenants screamed. Behind them, dozens of bright flashes appeared. The humans hadn't fled. They had jumped behind the alien formation. Keller's fleet opened fire all at once. Railguns thundered. Particle cannons lanced through shields. EMP missiles exploded silently, cutting power to alien ships. Chaos erupted. Enemy vessels collided, turned, and fired wildly into the dark. In less than 5 minutes, 200 ships were disabled. The aliens never saw it coming. On the bridge, Keller gave a single order. "Cut comms. No transmission, no taunts. They don't deserve our attention." His crew obeyed, eyes locked on the tactical display as the alien formation fractured. The humans struck once more, disabling command ships and dropping mines behind the enemy's retreat path. The trap was perfect. Every escape route had already been calculated days before the battle even began. When the fighting finally stopped, silence returned to Vega space. The human fleet drifted among wreckage and shattered ships. Keller stared at the destruction with a cold expression. "Send rescue pods to survivors," he said quietly. "Even enemies deserve to live." His officer hesitated. "Sir, the Council won't like this." Keller didn't look away. "The Council doesn't rule us anymore." Far across the galaxy, in the Council's capital station, the news of Vega's battle spread like fire. For decades, alien empires had whispered about humanity's return to military strength. Now they had proof. The humans had not only won, they had humiliated a coalition armada that outnumbered them 5-1. The Archon of the Council, Varel, watched the reports in silence. The last war with Earth had nearly ended the galaxy. Now he realized they had provoked it again. Advisors argued around him. "We must retaliate immediately," one shouted. "Destroy their colonies before they grow stronger." Another spoke in fear. "Retaliate? Against them? You saw what they did with half a fleet. If they bring their full force, no system will survive." Varel said nothing. He only watched the tactical feed, frozen on a single frame, the moment the human fleet vanished and reappeared behind their enemies. That maneuver, that technology, that impossible speed, it was not something the Council understood. "Contact their leadership," Varel said finally. "We must talk before this becomes another extinction war." On Earth, the message arrived 2 days later. The capital sky was filled with defense satellites, their lights blinking like constellations. Humanity had not forgotten the last war. Every city had underground shelters. Every orbit held defenses. The planet was ready for anything. The Council's request for talks was met with suspicion, but the human government agreed. At the orbital embassy station above Earth, the meeting began. The Council delegation arrived in grand ships, escorted by guards and diplomats. Their leader, Envoy Terran, entered the chamber where human commanders and representatives waited. At the center stood Admiral Nora Raines, the new head of Earth's defense network. "You have made a grave mistake," Terran began. "By attacking our fleets, you have endangered the fragile balance of peace." Raines folded her arms. "Peace? You call surrounding our colonies with warships peace?" Terran's tone grew sharper. "Humanity must not expand beyond its current borders. You are becoming too dangerous. The galaxy remembers what you did in the last war." Raines's eyes were steady. "Good. Let them remember." The alien envoy tried to maintain his composure. "Do you think your fleets can stand against the combined strength of the galaxy again?" We don't need to stand, Rains said. We need only to endure. You break. We don't. The tension in the room thickened. Every word between them was a spark in dry grass. Finally, the alien envoy said, If you refuse our demands, you will face the Council's full might. Rains stepped forward, her voice low but clear. We've already faced it once. How many of your worlds are still rebuilding? How many fleets never came home? We fought you before, and you still fear the memory. Don't make us remind you why. The alien delegation left without another word. As their ships pulled away from Earth's orbit, humanity's defense grid shifted into full alert. Across the system, quiet signals pulsed, coded messages to every ship, every base, every colony. The Council might come again, but this time, humanity would be ready long before the first shot. That night, Admiral Rains stood on the observation deck of the orbital ring. Below her, Earth glowed like a fragile blue jewel. She thought of the reports from Vega, of Keller's victory, of the Council's anger. She knew this peace would not last. They will come again, she said softly. But they won't find the same humanity. Her aide turned to her. What if they don't stop this time? Rains watched the stars. Then they'll learn what every enemy learns too late, she said. We adapt faster than they imagine. We fight harder than they can endure. We survive longer than they can comprehend. Across the void, alien fleets began to mobilize again. War factories awoke. Propaganda spread through alien channels, warning that humanity must be contained before it became unstoppable. Yet, deep down in every council chamber and every admiral's mind, there was the same unspoken thought, a memory of the first war, of the desperate screams, of the humans who refused to surrender even when surrounded. For the aliens, it was a nightmare they had tried to bury. For humanity, it was history they never forgot. When the first alien scout ships entered human space weeks later, they found nothing. No transmissions, no fleets, only silence. Then, without warning, all of their sensors went dark. A human message appeared on every screen. You fought us once, it said. Don't make us teach the lesson again. The aliens fled, terrified, their ships stumbling through hyperspace. The galaxy held its breath. Every species waited for the humans to move, to strike, to retaliate. But Earth remained quiet. That silence was more frightening than any weapon. In the Council's grand chamber, Varel finally spoke the truth no one wanted to hear. We fought the humanity once, he said. Never twice. Because the second time, there would be no one left to fight them at all. The alien fleet appeared over the frozen colony of Hades Prime without warning. 20 Council warships emerged from hyperspace, blotting out the pale sun with their enormous hulls. Below, the human colony trembled as alarms screamed across the ice fields. The sky turned red with the reflection of alien thrusters. From orbit, the invaders sent one message, translated into human speech. This world is under Council reclamation. Evacuate or perish, but Earth didn't abandon its own anymore. Within seconds, the distress call from Hades Prime reached the Solar Command. In orbit above Earth, hundreds of officers watched the incoming data. The alien fleet had outnumbered every human defense in the region. The colony had no chance on its own. Commander Elias Ward, stationed on the carrier Vigilant, stepped forward. We're not going to let them take it, he said. His superiors warned him not to engage, but he only smiled. We don't fight fair. We fight smart. Within an hour, Vigilant jumped into hyperspace with 3 escorts and a single mission, to hold the system until reinforcements arrived. The alien fleet was already bombarding the colony when the human ships dropped out of hyperspace. They were hopelessly outnumbered, but they didn't retreat. Ward stared at the massive holographic display of the enemy formation. They'll expect a direct assault, he said calmly. So we'll give them something they don't expect. He ordered his fleet to scatter. Instead of forming a wall of defense, the human ships dove into the ice clouds that surrounded Hades Prime. Their signals disappeared. The aliens laughed. They're hiding, said the alien commander. Pathetic. He ordered all ships to continue firing on the colony. But as his fleet moved closer to the surface, something strange happened. Their targeting systems flickered. Their readings scrambled. The clouds weren't clouds at all. The entire upper atmosphere of Hades Prime had been seeded with microscopic drones. left behind by human engineers years before. The drones activated the moment they detected hostile energy signatures. Within minutes, every alien sensor began feeding false data. Some showed phantom ships. Others displayed fake explosions. The alien formation broke apart, confused. That was when Ward struck. The Vigilant burst from the clouds like a shadow, firing rail slugs that pierced the lead destroyer. 2 more human ships followed, using the planet's gravity to slingshot into the enemy's flank. The first alien cruiser exploded, its debris raining across the icy surface below. "Hit and fade!" Ward commanded. They can't fight what they can't find. The aliens retaliated with wild volleys, but their targeting was useless. Their own system showed dozens of false readings. The more they fired, the more the drones distorted their signals. To them, it looked like hundreds of human ships surrounded them. Panic spread through the fleet. One alien captain shouted over comms, "They're everywhere!" But in reality, only 4 human ships fought them. From orbit, Ward watched the chaos unfold. He didn't smile, didn't cheer. He simply adjusted the next move. "Send decoy beacons," he said. "Let them think reinforcements are coming." His crew obeyed, deploying small drones that emitted full fleet signatures. Suddenly, sensors across the alien network lit up with the presence of dozens of new human vessels. The illusion was complete. The alien commander hesitated. "Pull back," he ordered, fear creeping into his voice. "Regroup and reorient sensors." But as they retreated, their ships drifted directly into the minefield. The humans hadn't just planned for attack. They'd mapped the entire orbit of Hades Prime and planted stealth mines months before the colony was ever threatened. The explosions tore through the enemy's rear line, splitting their formation apart. Ward watched the display and gave the quiet order that ended the battle. "Now we finish this." The Vigilant and its escorts rose from the storm, railguns glowing white. They fired in perfect unison. One by one, the alien cruisers fell. The last ship tried to escape into hyperspace, but Ward had already anticipated it. "Fire the anchor," he said. A single missile shot out, detonating with a burst of energy that disrupted the ship's warp drive. The alien vessel was torn apart mid-jump, vanishing into dust. The silence that followed was broken only by the hum of the engines. The colony below sent a single transmission. "This is Hades Prime. The sky is clear." Ward exhaled slowly, leaning against the console. "Signal Earth," he said. "Tell them the system is safe." Back on Earth, news of the victory spread instantly. The humans had faced an overwhelming force and not only survived, but annihilated the enemy without losing a single ship. Across the galaxy, the Council was stunned. Their fleets were technologically superior, yet they had been defeated by a fraction of human strength. How had they done it? The answer frightened them more than the loss itself. The humans had planned for it. They had predicted the exact movements of the Council fleet days before it even entered the system. Some suspected Earth had infiltrated the Council's data networks. Others whispered that humanity's new AI defense system, known only as Oracle, was capable of predicting enemy tactics before they happened. The truth was never confirmed, but every alien admiral now feared fighting humans again. In the Council chamber, Archon Varel listened to the reports in grim silence. The other representatives shouted for retaliation, but he only said, "You still do not understand them. They do not fight for conquest. They fight for survival. And there is nothing more dangerous than a species that refuses to die." Meanwhile, aboard the Vigilant, the crew repaired their hulls and collected survivors from the wreckage. Among the rescued were alien pilots, shocked and silent, expecting execution. Ward ordered them treated with care and returned to their ships. His officers didn't understand. "They attacked us," one said. "Why spare them?" Ward looked out the viewport at the shattered battlefield. "Because they need to remember mercy," he said quietly. "That's what separates us from them." Days later, the aliens who were rescued returned to the Council with a message. They spoke of human bravery, precision, and restraint. They told of commanders who could outthink entire armadas and soldiers who fought without fear. Even the Archon listened in silence as one of them said, "If the humans had wanted, none of us would have returned." The Council's military leaders convened once more. Some demanded total war. Others argued that fighting humanity again would doom them all. The debate lasted days until Varel ended it with a single statement. "We fought the humanity once and we lost everything. If we do it again, there will be nothing left to rule." Across the galaxy, fleets began to pull back from human borders. For the first time in years, the stars near Earth grew quiet. Humanity didn't chase, didn't conquer, didn't demand tribute. They simply rebuilt and watched. The colonies flourished. The fleets grew stronger, and deep beneath Earth's surface, the Oracle system continued to evolve, learning, calculating, preparing for the next time the Council forgot what happened the last time they came too close. Commander Ward returned home a hero, but he refused parades or celebration. When asked by the press what the victory meant for humanity, he simply said, "It means they'll think twice next time. And if they don't, we'll remind them again." Far away on the council world of Theron, a young officer watched recordings of the battle in awe. "How can they be so few and yet so unstoppable?" he asked. His superior answered softly, "Because they learned from every war. Because every defeat only made them more dangerous. Because they are human." The galaxy remained tense but quiet. Every admiral, every commander, every world remembered the lesson of Hades' Prime. They had faced humanity once, never twice. The dark side of Earth hung quiet beneath the shadow of alien dreadnoughts. Hundreds of massive warships from the Thaldrin Dominion filled orbit, their blue ion thrusters burning bright across the night sky. Every telescope, every satellite feed, and every defense system on Earth was fixed on them. The world had gone silent, waiting. The invasion fleet had arrived, not to negotiate, but to finish what had begun months ago in the outer colonies. The Thaldrin had returned, their pride wounded. Their goal simple: erase humanity. On the command bridge of the human flagship, Resolute Dawn, Admiral Grace Keller stood facing the holographic projection of the enemy formation. Her face was calm, but her eyes were sharp, scanning every cluster, every movement. "They're forming a siege line," she said softly. Around her, officers worked in silence, their hands trembling slightly over their consoles. "Admiral," her tactical officer said, "they've activated gravitational anchors. They're locking orbit. If they fire from that position, they'll glass the planet," Grace finished. Her voice didn't waver. "Unless we make them think twice." A second later, the comm screen flickered to life. The Thaldrin Supreme Commander appeared, tall, scaled, with eyes like molten gold. "Human Admiral," he hissed, "you have fought well. But you must understand your position. We outnumber you 50-1. Your defenses will fall. Your cities will burn. This time, you will not crawl back from the ashes." Grace tilted her head. "You said the same thing last time." The alien narrowed his eyes. "Last time, you hid behind tricks. This time, we destroy the tricks. Then," she said, a faint smile crossing her lips, "you'll have to survive what's coming next." Before the alien could respond, the channel cut off. In orbit around Mars, hidden in the magnetic shadow of the planet, 3 massive objects came to life. They were old weapons, forgotten, forbidden, and beyond the Council's sanction. Humanity had built them in secret, orbital kinetic arrays, capable of hurling metal rods at speeds near light. They had a name for them: Heaven's Hammers. On her command, the sky split open. From above Earth's exosphere, streaks of white fire tore through the void, piercing the Thaldrin formations before their shields could adjust. Massive detonations rolled through space, scattering debris and vaporized hulls. One alien dreadnought disintegrated instantly, its explosion lighting up the Earth's upper atmosphere like a second sun. "The enemy fleet reeled. Direct hits confirmed," shouted Tactical. "Targets Alpha through Delta are gone." Grace didn't cheer. "Phase 2, she ordered. From the dark oceans below, human submarines surfaced, not for water combat, but to launch their payloads skyward. Hundreds of missiles ignited the night, carrying payloads of electromagnetic pulse warheads. They detonated high above the planet, blinding enemy sensors, cutting communications. For a brief, breathtaking moment, humanity had turned the invasion into chaos. But victory didn't come easily. The Thaldrin were ancient warriors. They recovered fast. Dozens of their cruisers regrouped and began counter-bombardment, their beams cutting through the upper atmosphere like threads of blue lightning. One shot hit close to Rio, another grazed the Pacific defense grid. Shields at 60%. A young officer cried out. Grace stepped forward, her voice steady. Redirect orbital energy. Protect population centers first. Military assets are secondary. But Admiral, that's an order. The Earth's surface lit up as the planetary shield strained under the barrage. The alien commander reappeared on every broadcast frequency, his voice like thunder across human channels. Your weapons are impressive, but they will not save you. You fight without logic. You fight for pride. No, Grace muttered under her breath. We fight because you didn't listen. She turned to her staff. Prepare the Leviathan. The room fell silent. The Leviathan was not a ship. It was a weapon. A planetary-scale defense system buried under Antarctica, built during the early years of the war when humanity still believed they needed something that could scare gods. Powered by geothermal cores and dark matter containment, it had only one function: to release an artificial gravity pulse capable of warping space-time itself. Across the fleet, encrypted signals pulsed. Massive relay satellites synchronized. Admiral, activating the Leviathan will collapse half the orbit, warned engineering. I know, she said, but it'll also end their siege. The countdown began. The Thaldrin ships, sensing the shift, opened fire again, focusing everything on Resolute Dawn. Grace stood firm as the hull trembled under the impacts. Hold the line, she whispered. Just 10 more seconds. The final light flickered green, then space screamed. A shockwave of distorted gravity exploded outward from Earth's southern pole. It wasn't light or sound. It was pure force, bending metal, tearing at the fabric of matter itself. The Thaldrin fleet had no time to retreat. Their formation warped, twisted, and shattered. Dozens of ships imploded, their cores collapsing under the sudden gravitational crush. From the ground, people looked up and saw the night sky ripple like water. In a single instant, the greatest fleet ever assembled against Earth was gone, scattered wreckage orbiting silently. Inside the Galactic Council chambers, far from the war zone, hundreds of alien representatives watched the live feed in stunned silence. They had voted not to intervene, believing humanity's defeat was inevitable. Now, they stared at the impossible. The humans had once again survived what no species could. The council speaker, a tall avian creature with silver feathers, turned to his aides. They used forbidden weapons, he whispered. Again. Another delegate replied softly, and they still live. You cannot subdue them. You can only provoke them. Back on Earth, the surviving human fleets regrouped. Engineers worked tirelessly to stabilize the orbit, while soldiers cleared wreckage from near-Earth space. The planet was bruised, but it was alive. Admiral Grace stood before the main viewport, watching the debris drift across the dark. She could still hear the echo of the alien commander's last transmission before his ship was destroyed. We fought you once, never twice. Those words lingered in her mind. They weren't spoken in arrogance, but in realization. The Thaldrin had finally understood. No species that fought humanity twice survived to speak about it. Grace turned to her crew. Signal the council. Tell them the war is over. For good. Her officers hesitated. Do you think they'll listen this time? She smiled faintly. They don't need to listen. They just need to remember. Outside the viewport, a fragment of a Thaldrin dreadnought drifted silently past, its hull scorched, its insignia half-melted. The stars beyond glimmered coldly, as if witnessing history being rewritten once again, by the one species the galaxy could never break. The message was clear across the stars. Humanity did not seek war, but if war came to Earth again, no empire, no council, no fleet would dare test them twice. The black void of space above the ruined Thaldrin homeworld was silent, but thousands of eyes watched from across the galaxy. News drones recorded every angle of the battlefield, broadcasting it to every corner of the stars. The Thaldrin Empire, once conquerors of hundreds of systems, was gone. Its fleets were shattered, its cities turned to molten glass. Only debris floated now, the remains of a war that should never have been fought. But the humans were not celebrating. Their ships, sleek and dark, drifted in grim formation. They had not come to conquer. They had come to end it. On the bridge of the Eidolon, Admiral Marcus Hale stood beside his communications officer as a signal flashed across the holo screen. The Galactic Council demanded an immediate explanation. Their message was cold but underlined with fear. Humanity has violated interstellar law once again. Explain your actions before the Council or face universal sanction. Marcus didn't flinch. They want us to explain why we defended ourselves, he said quietly. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Ross, looked at the debris field. They never learned, sir. They call us savages for fighting back, but they never ask who fires first. Transmit to the Council, Marcus ordered. Tell them Earth accepts their summons. Across the stars, the message raced toward the center of galactic power. The humans were coming, not as defendants, but as survivors. Days later, the Council chamber was filled. Hundreds of alien delegations gathered under the vast dome, a structure large enough to hold entire ships within its core. It was the beating heart of the galaxy, where every species' fate was debated. At the center, the human delegation entered. No guards, no escort. Just three figures, Admiral Marcus Hale, Ambassador Lynn Carver, and Commander Idris Ward. The chamber dimmed as the Council speaker rose from his pedestal. Humanity, his voice echoed through the hall. You stand accused of obliterating an empire. You unleashed forbidden gravity weapons. You destabilized entire star systems. Do you deny these charges? Marcus stepped forward. His uniform was simple, his expression calm. We do not deny the facts. But we deny the guilt, the chamber murmured with disbelief. The speaker's feathers ruffled. You destroyed the Thaldran Dominion. You turned their fleets to ash. They invaded our solar system twice, Marcus replied. The first time we warned them. The second time we ended it. An ending that cost 10 billion lives, shouted one delegate. Ambassador Carver stepped beside Marcus. 10 billion lives paid for the arrogance of one species that thought it could break us. The galaxy watched and did nothing. You called it a local conflict. So humanity defended itself the only way it knew how, completely. The speaker's tone grew cold. You could have stopped after the first retaliation. Marcus looked directly into his eyes. And let them rebuild? Let them come back for our children? No, we made sure no one would ever think of invading Earth again. The words carried through the chamber like thunder. The Council fell silent. Even those who hated humans the most couldn't deny the truth. The Thaldran had started the war. Humanity had simply finished it. From the back rows, a thin, crystalline alien delegate rose. You claim defense, it said, its voice like glass breaking. But what of the weapon you used, the Leviathan Pulse? That was no defense. That was extinction. Marcus didn't look away. The Leviathan was not built to destroy life. It was built to ensure survival. Every planet in the galaxy has weapons. The difference is ours work. Gasps rippled through the chamber. The bluntness of the human admiral unsettled them. Ambassador Carver stepped forward again, her voice calm but sharp. You call us dangerous. Yet who created the Council's war fleets? Who funded the Thaldran's first expansion? You did. And now that your creation turned on you, you blame us for cleaning up your mess. The speaker tried to reassert control. Enough. Humanity will stand down all major military assets. You will submit to Council inspection. Marcus gave a faint, humorless smile. You can inspect whatever you like. But we won't disarm. Not again. The Council erupted in protest. Dozens of species shouted over one another, demanding sanctions, exile, punishment. The noise grew until it shook the air itself. But then, all at once, it stopped. Because the lights dimmed, a new projection appeared in the chamber, transmitted live from deep orbit over Earth. A massive shadow moved across the projection. It was not a ship. It was a fleet, larger than any single nation's navy, spanning the orbit from Luna to the asteroid belt. Thousands of vessels in perfect formation, silent and motionless like a wall of stars. Humanity's new defense fleet. The speaker's voice trembled. What is this? Marcus looked up at the display. That, he said softly, is the reason you'll never have to fight us again. We don't threaten. We prevent. The image zoomed in, showing the insignia on one of the ships, a simple emblem of Earth surrounded by a single phrase. We fought once, never twice. Every delegate stared in silence. The message was unmistakable. Humanity was done pleading for its place in the galaxy. It had earned it through fire and survival. After the hearing, as the human delegation left, the corridors of the council building buzzed with whispers. Some species wanted revenge. Others wanted alliance. A few wanted to flee. The humans said nothing. They had made their point. Back aboard the Eidolon, Admiral Marcus watched the stars from his viewport. The galaxy looked peaceful, almost deceptively so. "Do you think they'll ever try again?" Ross asked quietly beside him. Marcus shook his head. "No, not after what they saw today. They'll remember. But the Council might regroup," Ross pressed. "They can't stand the idea of a human-controlled defense fleet. It terrifies them." "Good," Marcus said. "Fear keeps them honest." A silence fell between them as the ship drifted above the blue curve of Earth. The scars of war were still visible, cities rebuilding, orbiting debris still glowing faintly in sunlight, but humanity was stronger than it had ever been. Far beyond the system, in the dark stretches of uncharted space, other species watched the transmission of the hearing. Some saw it as a warning, others as inspiration. A small, newly spacefaring race in the outer rim replayed the footage again and again. They whispered among themselves, "The humans stood against the strongest empire and won. Maybe we can stand too." In that moment, without realizing it, humanity had changed the course of the galaxy, not just through war, but by proving that even a small world could defy extinction and win. Back on Earth, the skies cleared. Children played under the rebuilt towers of New Geneva. Farmers tilled soil that had once been scorched by plasma fire. The world healed, one sunrise at a time. From orbit, the Eidolon continued its silent patrol. Admiral Marcus gave one final order before heading to his quarters. "Transmit our last statement to all open frequencies. Every channel, every world." The communication officer nodded and activated the beacon. Across the galaxy, in every tongue and on every screen, the same message appeared. "We fought for peace, not power. But if you come again, know this. We fought humanity once, never twice." And with that, the broadcast ended. In the vast silence that followed, the galaxy understood. Humanity did not rule through fear. They ruled through inevitability. No empire would dare test them again.